Hello everyone. I think we can kick off today's webinar and we would like to welcome all of you. The next thing I like to know is the vibes we have here in the round. So I know it's late and we had a long work day and therefore we like to start with a temperature check. So how does it work? So open the chat and then you can put the number where you feel today. Are you in an absolutely fantastic mode? Then you can add a 10 or a 9 maybe somehow, or you are in between because it was a really tough day. I mean, we are all different and our biorhythm is also different. So I'm personally an early bird person, so I like to talk and I'm more productive in the morning, but therefore it's really, really nice to have the afternoon with you guys. So I'm really, really happy to meet you here. And I think we can see here, so your answers are between 5 to 9 most of the time. So that's really interesting. Thanks for letting us know. And I think from my side, I'm a 9, nearly to 10, but I'm a 9. And so just to maybe briefly introduce myself. So my name is Josie. I'm here at Amaze Growth as a coach and consultant, and I most of the time work for leadership and management programs. And we as a company, we are well known for coaching and consulting when it comes to successful growth. And by doing this, we found out that we have to focus on positive leadership first. Then it all comes with a really ambitious vision and strategy behind it. And therefore, for the execution, it's really good if the OKRs are really close to the vision. This is the focus for today because it's a really, really good learning to set the base for a growth in 2023. And above all, the strategic and the execution part, we have to look to our employees. Of course, we are on the war of talent and we want to be attractive at the company, our identity. We want to shape that we are the company who would be chosen first. And therefore, employee branding is a really important topic to us. Here with me today is one of my colleagues, it's Tim, and so I will hand over the ball to Tim.
Thanks so much. Welcome, everybody. Awesome that you made it. Already many people in the call. I'm Tim. I'm 3 years now part of the Amaze Growth team. I do a lot of business development internally, but on the customer side, I lead almost every OKR project in our company. I do this with many, many companies, starting from Google up to marketing agencies, from small startups to companies with multiple hundreds of people. And I'm really, really happy that I'm here today and I'm allowed to share my best practices from our joint projects together. And with one more guest speaker today with us, who is Mark, who's from GTM Hub, but I just give him the stage so he can introduce himself.
Thank you so much, Tim. So yes, so that is me on that slide. I do look different in real life because I've aged quite quickly. This is the second webinar that we've been doing together today. My name is Mark. I am an OKR enthusiast, certified master professional. I'm also a solutions-focused performance consultant. And I work for a company called GTM Hub, a charming mid-sized startup that specializes in a strategy execution platform, which is marketing fancy speech for an OKR management software. And my role in today's meeting is to explain a little bit how we think about the role of technology in OKR management. Back to you guys.
Thank you that you're joining our session for today. I think it's really important because when we want to scale what we want to do with successful growth, we need technology, and that's really good if we step in these kind of things at the very first time. And so what will you take out from today's webinar? So most of all, it's important that we connect our OKRs to our strategy, because this is the important part for growth, and after that comes the technology. Then it's also an important thing what we want to focus on for today is how we're defining the right OKRs for the right reasons. Not just using OKRs, to understand why these OKRs are the most important ones to grow as a company. And most of all, we go into detail how we would like to implement OKRs with you guys, what are all our experience and lessons learned, and so you get some insights from our side. And to walk you through the agenda for today, we will start with a step back. So why achieving goals makes us so happy? Why is it so important for growth to be happy when it comes to achieving goals? And then we will have the theory part with OKRs and then the implementation. But before we start, as I said before, it's really important that we adjust our OKRs towards our strategy. We are really interested to get to know if you already have defined your strategy and goals for the next year. And for this, we are using Menti, so you can use the OKR code here, and I will also copy this link here in the chat. And you can go directly to Menti in this way as well. And so if you have any technical issues or questions, just ask or leave a comment here in the chat and we can help you out. And I'm curious to get to know, so have you defined it or have you started? So it's a tough time of the year because it's end of the year, I know. But it's a good time to set the base for next year, I guess.
Perfect. The first answers are already coming in. Let's see what we have. We have 2 yeses, 19 just partly, and 5 not at all. I think some more answers are already coming in. Based from our experience, that's exactly how like the normal picture looks like. Not many started yet. We advise like everybody or recommend to really start in Q4, not in Q1 when the year already started. Very, very important. So the ones with just partly and yes are really on the right track. The ones with no, we really recommend you to do so. And maybe today's OKR session helps you like to find the first kickstart for the whole thing. Iman said just partly as well. Thank you.
I think then we can go back to our presentation. So what we have found out that you're like in between like starting, defining, setting the goals for next year. And for this, we have also an idea how you can improve that strategy process. So we will show you like a really cool tool later. Maybe it will help you to develop on that path as well. So, but before that, why achieving goals makes us happy? So for this, we're going into neuroscience. Why is it important that we look into our brain? Because every day there are so many electrical signals who are coming to us with all the chat, communication, digitalization. And with all those things which come to our mind and brain, we get a lot of positive and negative feelings. To make it easy, an example, let's imagine we are out there and then a lion is in front of us. What happens then? Adrenaline will come up in our body, and this is so important that we get this negative hormone because it helps us to fly away, to flew from this lion. So this is kind of a negative feeling, of course. The other is when we maybe see this really, really yummy ice cream or an after-work beer or a dinner party with our friends. So then we have a lot of happy hormones, our body creates a lot of dopamine, and then we get in this approach modus. We want to have the ice cream, the beer, the good time. And this is helpful when it comes to business as well. Because when we see a lion or something negative we don't like, we are in this kind of avoiding mode. But when we see something we want to achieve, then we are in this approach mode. And this is so helpful because when we are in this approach mode, then we are like more creative, energetic, we think out of the box and we really want to go there. We are so excited. And the other thing is when we see the lion, so then we go away, we don't want to make any mistakes because we don't want that the lion comes closer to us. And when we are in this approach mode again, then it also comes with a lot of growth. We go in the growth zone because we approach something, then we have to learn something new, like we all do together in this webinar right now. And this helps us to face new challenges, to get our problems solved, and then we come in this growth zone and we grow ourselves and our company. And therefore, it's really good to start with that mindset and perspective. After that, we have a lot of dopamine, we will be more energized, and we will grow even more. So to do that, it is really helpful to have a really useful and smart tool to get there, and therefore OKRs will help you. But I know that OKRs are not new at the end, so maybe some of you had heard a lot of it, and we want to hear in this chat and with all the participants, so what is your experience? And therefore you can use the Menti again. So when you have opened it on your smartphone, the next question will come up. You can use the QR code, and I will also put the Menti link here in our group chat as well, so that you get directly access to answer that question.
Awesome. First results are coming in. Thanks so much. Let's see what we have. We have 0 times no experience. I've heard of it but never used it, or only a little bit. 21, that's the majority. And a lot of experience. I already work with them. 9 of you guys. Only read about it on the net. Awesome. So from the guys who have a lot of experience already, feel free to share your feelings after the webinar. If you're close to the process, how you do it. If you do it completely different, happy to hear that. And for the ones who heard about it but never used it, give us some feedback at the end as well, how you liked it, if it's something you really want to implement, if it makes sense to you, and all that. 0, no experience at all, never happened before, which is great. So we have only people in the call who know, partly at least, what the whole thing is about. But we will dive much more into depth in a few seconds.
Perfect. Then I can go on, and I'm also so happy that our group here is so experienced, and I'm also really excited when I look forward to our Q&A session at the very end, so we can have a really, really cool discussion. Also to make the bridge from where we started with why goal achieving makes us happy, it's really important that we connect that kind of thinking with the growth zone to OKRs as a mindset. So this is really important in our approach, that we are all so excited to do those things and that we shoot for the moon. So this is the base. I know some of you know and do the same approach, but there are different perspectives out there, and we want to make our position clear here in the group to have a base for a discussion. Objectives and key results. So you all know objectives are the what, and to make sure that we always prove that the objective is definitely the end state of a journey. It's not always that when we see it in practice, therefore we focus on that. And for the key result, the how, it's so important that the key result is an outcome and no activity. So this is one of our main lessons learned when it comes to defining OKRs. So what else? Why is it important? Why is it helping you? So we are all on the same page. We know where we are going. So I don't go into detail with this because we are here in an experienced group. And we have seen so many companies who are doing this really, really good, like Google is doing it. And therefore, I think it's cool to keep in mind that OKRs are for small companies and even for global companies. And for global companies, it's even more important to use technology to handle all those kind of objectives and key results. And but it's not enough to look for objective and key results if we want to have a really successful growth plan. And therefore, there's another thing we have to keep in mind, because we shoot for the moon, so we have to know how our moon looks like. And therefore, we use our strategizer tool. It's a one-pager management tool. You can see it later, but the content with it is to understand the purpose of the company. So why do we do the things we do? What are our values? So what is our cultural foundation to do the things day by day? How do we behave? What's our mission? How we do things differently? And most of all, our vision in 5 to 10 years. So what is our long-term goal, the moon where we are going, where we are flying to with our OKRs, and what are the numeric targets behind? Because we need to have a look at our financial plan, and this needs to be close to our strategizer and our OKRs. And if we do things like that, it's a really cool thing that everyone in the company understands. So what is the direction where we are going? One of our main lessons learned that it's so important that every employee get the chance to define their very own, because then they are committed to the long-term goals and they understand it. Then we also ensure that they have an entrepreneurial thinking because they think from the company goals. And most of all, for the younger generation, it's so important to have a company with a purpose, and they want to know where the company is going and heading forward. And therefore, this system with a strategizer and OKR method is really, really smart as well. So, but that was all from the series side. And now I'm happy to give over the ball to Tim, who's explaining the implementation planning.
Awesome. Thank you so much. As said, theory only part 1, but how to really implement it into practice. How we do it at Amaze Growth, but also with many of our clients, is basically a 5-step approach. And before we even start implementing OKRs, we take one step back and start looking at what is even our vision and our strategy for our business based on the review and benchmarking of, for example, 2022, if we are looking for 2023 and beyond. So that's the first thing we have to think about, on which baseline we even want to put the OKRs. We go then into the streamlining of the company goals. That's something unique that Amaze Growth implemented between the general company strategy and the OKRs. It's like a little bridge. Go then as step 3 into the definition of objectives and key results. Ends up into the do it. That means measure it, track it, align, communicate, and all that stuff. And last but not least, analyze it and learn from it based on a robust and agile routine. Let's jump into each single step to discuss a bit what's meant with the whole thing and what we are doing in them. And we're gonna kickstart with step 1, review and benchmarking. At the very beginning of each year, and as said, very important to do this even in Q4, not in Q1, is to even review who are even our competitors. Is our service offering still the right service offering for our clients based on the client's needs? What customer structure do we have? What numeric targets are we following? What is the benchmarking of our data? And do we have like the business planning in place already? And based on that, we're gonna then derive our purpose, vision, our customer promise, and so on, and our goals. Because based on those goals, we're gonna then derive the objectives and key results based on them. We're gonna look at some examples in a second. Before that, just for your understanding, the goals pretty much symbolize the why. Why do we even need to achieve those goals? What is our vision behind each little goal based on department level, for example? Objectives are the what. What do we want to achieve? And the key results, as said by Josie already, is the how. Like, how do we want to achieve it and how do we measure it? What we did is we put the whole thing together into a thing called strategizer. Strategizer is a strategic tool that helps us to see like that upper part, which is defined by, for example, who are even our customers, what is our vision, what is our mission, what is our customer promise, and what are our company values, how do we want to work with each other. First part, which is very important. Second part, what are even our numeric targets, for example, until 2025? We brought some examples with us. They may change considering your business, what you're doing, but basically most people put in revenue, for example, EBIT, number of customers could be an option, number of employees. And based on this upper line pretty much, you then derive your strategic goals based on most likely your departments you already have in your business. For example, your marketing department, your sales department, product operations department, or HR. Just examples, they may change considering your business, of course, but based on them, you then derive the OKRs based on them. As said, those goals are like little visions. Where do we want to be at the end of the year, for example? The objectives, how much can we achieve in a certain time frame, for example, on a quarterly basis, when our OKR cycle is based on a quarterly cycle. And how do we measure those objectives? When is this objective 100% achieved for us. That's what we basically do with those key results. So every objective can have one key result, for example, or multiple key results. That's step one. Very important learning is to be aware why you really want to introduce those OKRs, because only if you have like the full commitment from yourself and your team, you're going to be really successful, because it's the same thing as a bit of going to the fitness studio, for example. Especially when now at Christmas time and all that stuff, after New Year's, everybody wants to go. They set up plans, but at the end they never go, maybe the first 5 times. So you really have to put in a lot of commitment to really go through the whole process. It's sometimes, as Josie said with the saying of the Google founder Larry Page, it is sometimes hard, but at the end we get a lot out of it. So first learning. Step 2, streamline setting of company goals. As said, you can then define goals based on your departments, for example, marketing, sales, product, operations, HR, whatever it is at the end. You can also do this on team level. Then they are not as high level as this, but maybe some other topics, but the procedure and the basics are exactly the same. And then define goals based on them. They don't have to be numeric, but most people tend to do this. For example, a goal for marketing could be, we want to have an average of plus 100 new leads per month. Or for sales, we want to increase our sales by 30% compared to 2022. That's the first thing. And the second thing is to align responsibilities based on them. Responsibilities in this context don't mean that one person has to do everything, so all OKRs underneath it. It's much more meant like a project manager, pretty much. You're going to see like each department, each goal as one big project, and that guy or that girl is going to be like one project manager who like communicates, who pushes the whole team, and who leads the whole process. Sometimes, or most likely, they also have tasks within the whole OKR process, but there's no need to, most importantly, being a project manager and push the whole team. Very important, make sure that all goals are transparent, as well as the OKR process itself, and easy to understand for everybody within your company. Because the whole process should be very transparent, everybody should be able to see what goals and OKRs does the whole company have, who has what goals and OKRs, why are they even doing what they're doing, to really create understanding and commitment throughout the whole team. So that should be named and defined, so everybody who's not quite in the material, for example, if you're a salesperson and you're not quite in the material of marketing, that even the salesperson understand it, what they're doing, what their goals are, so they know what they're doing and they can help each other out by understanding what they're doing, and thus having the commitment to do so. Very important, as said, defining responsibilities as goalkeepers, how we call it, and to put one OKR master who's most likely, depending if you do it on team level, the team lead. If you do it company-wise, it's most likely the CEO or C-level, who has like the power to help when challenges occur, when you have to set new priorities and all that stuff, who's like overseeing the whole process and make sure that the discussion is going on, that the reporting is working, that there's the feedback going on, and that the OKR alignments, when we come to the routine in a second, is working well, and if not, to make adjustments based on it. Step 3 is then the actual definition of OKRs. Very important and big lessons learned to define objectives together or within your team, bottom up and top down. It's not something that the team lead or the C-level or whoever just defines and everybody else runs. It's much more likely to do this within the team to see, we have this goal, what can we most likely achieve, what are like smart goals for us for this quarter, for example, smart OKRs, in order to contribute to this goal. So that's very important to do this bottom up and top down, to have the commitment from everybody in the team and to foster the understanding for the tasks that need to be done, and push forward when it comes to this. Goal is, as said, to get everybody on board. Little example from our side, we had back in 2021 one goal on the marketing side that says we want to establish our consulting skill course, which is like an e-learning course, which was a really big thing for us in the last year and a major priority on the marketing side throughout the whole customer side. We derived, for example, the objective that we want to market our online course for C, B, and A level. And then based on this, we derived our key results with the help of asking us what are the success factors of achieving the whole goal even. And we said, for example, it is an efficient performance marketing, it is a cooperation with market leaders, and it is influencer marketing. And based on this little helper, we were then able to derive those key results, which are numeric, in order to see what does this even mean for us when it's 100% accomplished. In other words, we wanted to have 200 new customers with a CAC of more than 150 euros. We wanted to have 3 corporations, and we wanted to reach 50 new customers via Instagram and a turnover of higher than 50K, for example. We're gonna have those little templates included of today's call, because what we say, and what is a big mistake of many people, that they just write down any objectives, put some key results behind it, and that's it. But you have to look at objectives much more like projects, having an objective in, having the project steps in, what do we even need to do on the operative side to be able to achieve those key results, what do we have to do, or who has even the responsibilities for that, and how can we improve this. This needs to be key results, of course, not KPIs. That's a mistake from one company, which is made very, very often. You posted it already in the chat. Of course, not KPIs. That's why I brought it with me, but key results. Very big difference. And I said, OKRs must be wanted by everyone, and everybody has to be included in the whole process. And that's why it's so important to get the buy-in from your teammates when you do it on management level, get the buy-in from everyone. If you break it down at the end, you have to be like, or you should really foster the commitment from your team when you're the team lead to really conduct the whole process with them. Then do it. Very, very important to track your processes and your success. We created a little spreadsheet-based tool that helps in being like in putting the whole process as transparent as possible, adjusting responsibility and to track the progress. But we have the limitation that our tool is only appropriate for like management teams or bigger teams up to maybe 30 to 40 people. As we don't have like a software-based solution from Amaze growth side in order like to transfer it to like very big companies with plus 50 employees, but also for companies with plus 1,000, plus 10,000, or even as Google plus 100,000 people. And that's why we have the partnership with GTM Hub, whose business model is exactly to find the solution, or they even found it already, in creating a software-based solution in enabling those OKR processes and those OKR alignments with a software, so everything is aligned no matter how many people you have within your company. And thus, building the bridge, I would hand over to Mark, who joined us today in order to show us how the whole GTM Hub solution looks like.
Yeah, thank you, Tim. I'll share my slides now, so just don't be surprised if you see something different now. As I said at the beginning, like the aspect and the point of view, the perspective that we're coming from is what can technology bring to the table when it comes to OKR management? And Tim rightfully so mentioned that one of the challenges when you manage your OKRs with Excel sheets or PowerPoint or or the strategizer tool is once you get to a certain scale, it becomes a tedious piece of work. And we say that technology obviously isn't the most important part of the whole setup. The most important part is the people that are doing the OKRs, that are owning them, and that are taking responsibility for them. However, technology, as you know, everybody, there's probably a few people with agile and or DevOps background here. So technology is one of the pillars that lets us achieve transformation processes successfully, or a level of agility or business agility. On one hand, well, one factor is that technology, in this case, the software, lets us store, process, and analyze information quite quickly and quite easily. And the other thing is that technology has this, the benefit, the value that it can automate repetitive tasks or recurring tasks, or at least simplify them. So when we build an OKR software, we build a software, a tool, a piece of technology that supports OKR users across the whole OKR cycle. So starting with following the 5 steps of Amaze growth, starting with the benchmarking and defining of goals, over actually doing them, and then back to the end of the cycle to analyze them, have review meetings, retrospectives, etc. All of that is supposed to be easy, and it is supposed to be user friendly. So it is more fun, because we have seen OKR projects live and die based on the fact that people enjoyed doing them. So that means how quickly could they see an impact, how quickly could they see actually a success being delivered, which is sometimes a factor when you think about should we all do OKRs now, or maybe just a subset, maybe just a team or just a department, so that we can have a quick result or something quick to inspire the rest of the organization. And that if people enjoy doing that, they have a better and faster way to get to the actual benefits of OKRs. So the focus on what's important, the alignment across the organization, permeating organizational silos, scaling nicely, quickly, and easily, and create that level of transparency that we want. So that if you achieve something with your team, you don't just see it yourselves, but the whole organization can see and celebrate this. And that gives you that feeling, that reward, that happiness, compared to having a huge portion of a super yummy ice cream, which is less healthy though. So let's get 2 scoops, not more, and head over to the software. So we're going to do a quick tour through GTM Hub. And the first thing that we did, so Josephine and Tim introduced the strategizer tool, and I used the GTM Hub planning module to build a simple version of the strategizer in here. And for sake of time, we're just going to skip all the ideation process. So let's just all assume that we're part of the marketing team, and we have used the tool to discuss about what our goals and priorities should be and what our ideas for objectives are. So you can see we discussed this, we voted on this, everybody's aligned, this is an unanimous decision. This is what we want to do. And now the tool helps us to convert these ideas into OKRs quite quickly, just putting these things together, publishing them, and then I messed up. Sorry for that. I obviously broke the process. What should have happened is this should become an objective now, so that if we get to the home page, this is the first page that the user sees when they log in, our objectives appear here. I have prepared an objective because I have, again, for sake of time. So we are still members of the marketing team, and we can see what's important for us as members of the marketing team. I can see what's important for me as an individual. I have my own individual OKR here. I can also keep track of what is happening across the organization, who's doing what, who's updating what. So that level of transparency is instantly, immediately, and that's one of the first quick wins of using a tool like this. Now, every context, the information, the context about the status, the process, the ownership of who owns this actually objective and the subsequent key results is just one click away from me. So I can have a look here, and I can understand who's working on this. I can see that there's a communication thread going on because we can tag and comment on each other's goals to foster that collaboration across different teams and across different people. When we want to see how our OKR is now how it relates to other OKRs in our organization, this is just one click away. So just clicking that icon takes me to what we call the alignment view. The alignment view, I'll just quickly zoom out and then in again, shows me the whole network of OKRs in our organization. And this is where we're coming from. So we as the marketing team can see what we're working on and how what we're working on contributes to another target, which in return contributes to another target, which contributes to like a C-level strategic initiative. So everybody in the team understands the purpose of this piece of work that we're doing here for this, in this case, for this quarter. At the same time, if I'm the CMO, I can look at my initiative and I can work my way down and understand which teams are actually contributing to my initiative, who is not, and does anybody need help? If we zoom out and we just get to looking at where the traffic is, we can see that there's like goals that seem to be very popular because a lot of teams want to contribute them. In this case, the IT goal, we're a partner revenue, which might also mean that we might want to look at like dependencies and things like that and make sure that A, people don't have too many goals, and B, that there's no dependency created by like we're waiting for somebody to complete their OKR as a mandatory requirement for us to finish ours. We can look and filter this information by things like strategic initiatives. If we have a particular project that we're working at, I can look at the just at the OKRs that are attributing to this objective, either in the alignment view or also in a list view. Now, as OKRs are an iterative framework, so it means that we do our recurring updates and we submit information regularly. We have a huge and valuable amount of knowledge that we've created with every update that we're doing. Because when I do my updates, I do not only enter my information about my progress that I've done here, I can also explain why these things happen, and can add further questions like what did I learn, where do I need help with. All of this is valuable information, not just for my manager, but also for my peers and maybe for other people in the organization as well. When we get to the end of the cycle, the reporting module lets us analyze what has happened with the OKRs and what is happening with the OKRs right now, whether that's on the team level, so here's a particular team dashboard, or whether that is actually on a company level. We want to understand how all of our OKRs together are working and succeeding. The reporting module is easy to use. You can just drag and drop reports and insights and build your own dashboard the way that you need it. Because, and this has been said before, and it's very, very true, there's no one-size-fits-all solution when you do OKRs. You will need to find your own specific way of doing them. And with that, our short tour through the platform is already over. I'll just wrap up with a quick short number of flashcards. So bring it back to why should we use technology? It's easy to use OKRs at scale to get the benefits from OKRs, like the focus on what's most important, the alignment not just within a team, but also with other teams and across different levels in the organizational hierarchy to have these meaningful conversations. Easy to scale, which means we can add users, OKRs, and teams quite quickly, and we have the customizability or like the possibility to make OKRs our OKRs, and lastly, but not leastly, promote that level of transparency that is needed to attribute and build a learning organization, to detect issues and change and convert learnings into improvements. And learnings is a good segue into our next topic, because I'm going to give it back to Tim, who will talk about learnings from the OKR practice. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mark. Great solution. As said, very important to have something like this in once your business is much bigger than, or your team where you want to develop it in, much bigger than 20, 30, 40 plus people, in order to streamline everybody in the whole company. Let's jump to step 5 from our process, analyzing and learning. Very, very important. As no matter how good you are defining your strategizer when it came to vision, your strategic goal, your strategic targets, numeric targets, and all that stuff. No matter how well you defined your OKRs for the right reasons, even in the right OKRs, if you don't have like a robust and agile routine behind the whole thing, you're gonna like directly crash against the wall. And that is one of the big mistakes that many people do, is not having this routine. And that's why so many projects fail. Like one of the main reasons is because they never set up this kind of robust routine. A little example how this routine could look like based like on a management perspective. When you look at the management team, you have, for example, before the first cycle, which is Q4 basically, when you look at 2023 in the first quarter, like Q1 in 2023, before the first meeting in the new year, you should have defined your OKRs already, to be then able to kickstart off the first cycle of the new year with the management team, in presenting like on department level each OKRs with all the goalkeepers to get their feedback and the green light at the end. And then this actual cycle even starts with conducting all those OKRs, meeting up again in the goalkeeper or management alignment in the mid of the cycle. For example, after 6 weeks, if you have a 12-week or quarterly, like in other words, a quarterly cadence, to meet up, see how if everything is going well, if the cross-department communication is going well, if we need help with anything, if you're not on track, if we have to adjust something. All that stuff happens like in the midterm review. And at the end of each cycle, you then present your final results, how well your key results performed, how many % of your objectives you achieved. And lastly, at the end, to look at what do we have to do better in the next cycle. And as said, the new cycle, for example, Q2, in Q2 2023, starts already with the first phase again before Q2, in order to define the new OKRs for the next cycle, so you're ready on point when Q2 hits. As said, there's no one-size-fits-all approach. Some startups that are moving very fast, things are changing for them much faster than for very big businesses. They even tend to do sometimes to choose 6 to 8 week cadences instead of a quarterly based cadence. Most of the times, once they grew bigger, once they get more, in explanation marks, mature, most likely they switch to a quarterly basis again, because it just connects much better with the business results they have, and with the results they have to deliver on a quarterly basis. So it's very nice if those two things are streamlined at the end. Very important when it comes to this kind of routine, to define time and distribute between strategic work, where the OKRs are part of it, and the business as usual, like your operational work. Rule of thumb here is when you have like a strategic position in your business, to have like 10 to 20% at least of your time within a week for strategic work, and the rest operational work. So this is one of the other reasons why many projects fail, because people that just use OKRs as something they do when they do have time. And as we all know it, nobody has never time. So that's very important, to put something in your calendar, to really make space for the strategic work, to put in even cross-department communication routines within your calendar, so this is fixed already, and a very important meeting as everything else as well. So that's a bit of self-management to really be able to create the success everybody's striving for. Very important as well, learn how to teach the team how to do this stuff. Most of the times we recommend to start in a management level on a company side, and then drag it down once your all like major issues are clear, everybody knows how to do it, then derive it down on team level. Some companies, they have teams in where the company decides not to do it, but the teams themselves want to do it. So then teach those people and really take them on board for the whole process, so everybody knows what's going on, how do we do things, why do we do those things, and what are the results we are striving for. And last but not least, setting up this kind of routine I just showed you, to really make sure that the stuff is gonna happen, that you have regular alignment meetings with your team, with cross departments in order to to not have those silos in many departments where the departments never communicate with each other, which is but so important. Best practice, as said, we have those two phases. First phase, agile strategies in having like status benchmarking, C-level alignments, definition of goals and KPIs. We're gonna come to this, where the difference between KPIs and OKRs are even. That's one question we're gonna solve in a minute. We're gonna define the strategic responsibilities as first phase one, before we even start with those OKRs. And then we have the second phase, implementing the objectives and key results as set. And you can decouple them, but very important is to have this stuff in, even on team level, to have like your overall goals in where you want to go throughout the whole year with this team to derive then your OKRs down. Let's jump to the summary before we start looking at all your questions. We just looked at the points that vision and strategy are elementary foundation of OKRs. Set the right goals for the right reasons. OKRs as an agile goal setting system to implement a set of goals effectively and efficiently. And OKRs as a motivational lever for all employees in the company. How can we help you guys in order to implement this process? First option, we're gonna have one open course in beginning of February, which means that team leads, business owners, whoever who want to be like this kind of OKR ambassador within the team, within the company, come together, and we're gonna show them in detail how the whole process works. We're gonna do many examples based on their business, how they can do it, how the whole thing could look like. That thing happens in February, which is an open course. The other option is that we from Amaze Growth come in, help you guys set the whole thing up, depending if you need the first phase or only the second phase. If you have the first phase already, when you have the first phase already, approximately 2 to 3 days it takes on management level to get aligned, to define everything through, to implement it in the tool, to build up the whole routine. Two options basically. If you have even bigger companies, we can like partner up with GTM Up and implement it as well as a software-based solution. Before we come to our question round, it would be awesome if you connect with us via LinkedIn, via mail. We're gonna send a set the whole presentation, so you're gonna have the links to everything within the deck. It would be awesome if you receive feedback. There is no Menti, so you don't have to you don't have to do it now, but it would be awesome if you provide us feedback, how you liked it, what you didn't like, most importantly, in order to get better. For us, very important to see what we can do better next time and how can we help you even further. Very important, you have the link in the chat as well. Very much appreciated for any feedback. And now, as promised, question round. We have still 9 minutes left. It works via Menti again. Take your phone out. The link is in the chat now as well. So just type in your questions and we're gonna try to answer as many as possible. And don't be shy. No, there are no dumb questions in this world, especially not when it's about OKRs, because it's an easy process, but not as easy that you can say there's never ever a question. We have one Danke, which means thanks. Thank you so much. And we have one question: is the difference between OKR and KPI that OKR is an actual result and KPI is only an indicator? Partly correct. You can see it as follow that OKR, like you have two dimensions to look at even when you compare those. First one is the purpose dimension, that OKRs really show much more comprehensively an approach in goal setting, and as a management methodology, for example. It's while KPIs are much more focused on evaluating a certain success, for example, in certain activities such as project, program, products, and OKRs are show a much broader picture based on it. They do exist next to each other, but from purpose-wise, it's completely different. As to try to see OKRs, it's a much more comprehensive approach, which shows the whole things about goal setting, serving a fully fledged management methodology and all that stuff. That's the first point, and second point is there are technical differences. For example, KPIs are set mostly for much more extended periods, while OKRs tend to change quarterly, depending on the cadence, of course. And more likely than this, you can say that OKRs communicate initiatives, strategies in real time, while KPIs are much more likely are statistic performance indicators. So they're much more narrowed down, those KPIs, and the OKR approach is a much more broader thing. Would you recommend OKR setup for small companies under 10 employees? If yes, what would be the architecture? Yes, we would recommend it. We have many startups with like from 5 to 10 people. They start already. We highly recommend it to implement it already. First reason, the earlier the start, the better you get. Even if you get bigger, then you already know how to do it, how it works for your business, and you can like put all the new people directly in. And it really helps even smaller groups to have like the strategic way in front of them, how to even do this, what are our goals, where do we want to strive, what do we want to strive for, how does our roadmap look like, and who is doing even what. So highly recommend it, no matter how big you are, to implement it. OKRs require leaders to think more holistically, more completely than KPIs. Is it correct, and perhaps why? Then can be a real challenge to implement. It depends. Let's put it this way. You need, for like defining the right OKRs for the right reasons, a big picture, what is really important for us to implement in our business. In other words, when it comes to the definition of OKRs, very, very young people who just joined the business or just came from university or from school or whatever, gonna have like a hard time to really know what the right OKRs are when it comes to this. But they get it very easily. That's why we put in those goals, because they see like the big picture. So everybody knows what do we want to achieve throughout the whole year, and derived from that, they are then able to think, if that's our goal for the whole year, what does it mean for us on a quarterly basis? What are we able to achieve within the certain time frame given? Then next question, how to integrate with CRM to understand the pipeline based on the goals of each user. Can be implemented, like I said, you can match the tools from us to the CRM basis, as well as Mark said it. You can match existing CRM systems, for example, in bigger companies with the GTM Hub solutions, which works very fine, right, Mark?
Indeed.
Perfect.
Again, if anybody's interested in the technical details, they should just reach out to you guys, and you can facilitate a meeting. But yes, that is a big part of what we do. We use it ourselves, so we're eating our own dog food. Our sales team, when they have OKRs that are related to their pipeline, that these are pulled automatically from Salesforce in our case, but we also do the same for HubSpot and other CRMs.
Yep. Thanks so much. As said, if you're a bigger business and you have like quite big CRM systems already, contact us. We're gonna make the connection to Mark. No problem at all. Then we have one more question. I can't see it completely, but I guess it's how do we get comfortable with not hitting 100% of our objective? Is our OKRs essential and more? I think I know what you mean with not hitting the 100% target. Funny story around this, when you look at Google, for example, they are even saying that when you are able to hit the 100% mark, then the OKRs were not strong enough. That's their mindset, pretty much. As said, those OKRs said they should be smart, which includes being ambitious. That should give us direction and help us to strive for like big things, which means if that's clear for everybody, it is not meant that it's fine to always achieve only 50 or 60%, of course not. But when we achieve the 100% mark, it's really, really extending or great work, fabulous work we've done, which is not happening too many times. But it helps us, like when you have the right mindset, even when you hit the 90% mark, the 85, 95% mark, that you're already on the right track. And that's pretty much what the saying from Josie said. Even if you miss like the 100% mark, you still land like among the stars. If you don't even do it, you're still on Earth, which doesn't get us anywhere. So really setting ambitious goals, very important. If you don't hit them 100%, look at them, what needs to be done to get even better in the next cycle, and how can we hit as much as possible. Perfect. I think that's it. If you guys have more questions, as said, write us emails, put it in the feedback form, contact us, more than happy to help you out. And with that, thank you so much for today's call. It was a pleasure. Thanks for being with us. Thanks for joining us. And we're going to see you soon.